I don't really like the question, what's your why? I like the question, what is it that you want? Be honest with yourself about what is it that you actually really want in life. And if you can kind of pull back from all of this programming and all this stuff people have regurgitated to you from generations down and say, what is it out of life that I want to get? I got this opportunity to play this simulation video game, Skyrim, whatever this is that's going on down here. I get this chance to go out and create this character and create this experience. What is it that you really, really want? And I think this is the first question you have to be honest with yourself about, and I think most people aren't. And I'll tell you an example. I mean, perfect example is I can't tell you how many people I know say they want to be a millionaire. I want to be a millionaire. I want to be a millionaire. But what they really want is an easy job and they want to watch Netflix. That's what they really want. Now they look around and they feel sorry for themselves and they curse the heavens and think they got screwed somehow, or someone else got the special sauce. They got the hookup and I didn't. They create this disparity between them and success because they're not willing to own up that what they actually really want is a mediocre life, which is going to get mediocre results. And so you first have to ask yourself that. Do you really want to level up? Do you really want to go out there and seize what you say you want? Are you willing to put in the work and the time and the effort to do that? And if you are, then you got to own that and you got to go with that. And you got to take whatever hits come your way, because they're going to come. You're going to get your ass kicked. And there's something that happens, and I think it's all part of God's plan. When you say to yourself, and when you say those words of power, I want to be better, I want to go do this, the universe takes note of that. And the universe says, okay, we're going to see if you really want that. It's going to test you, and it's going to test you past the breaking point. And I want to share just a couple of experiences with me that were catalysts that just drove home this lesson to me in a profound way. The first one, I've had a lot that led up to this, but one of the first was when I did my first summer sales. So I think I was telling some of you guys I did door-to-door sales. I just mentioned that I own a door-to-door sales company. When I was in college, I got recruited by this guy to go out my first year. I'd gone on an LDS mission. I knocked doors in California, and Utah is the hub for door-to-door sales because you got all these Mormon return missionaries that came home and figured out how to monetize this only skill set they have. You know, like, I know how to knock doors and people tell me no all the time. So let me figure out how I can make some money doing that. And there's all these companies that spring up, and I'm one of them now, you know, and I came back and some dude recruited me to go out and knock doors in Detroit, Michigan. I was like, wow, that sounds wild. And they promised me that if I sold if I serviced 100 security systems in a summer, I'd make 40 grand. And I thought that was just insanely outrageous. 40 grand in the summertime. I was a broke college kid. I'm trying to figure out how to pay for school. I'm trying to figure out how to, you know, take a girl on a date that doesn't include the dollar menu. You know, I'm trying to figure out how to pay for life, because life, you got to pay for it. You know, there's a cost. It's a video game. Again, it goes back to that video game analogy. You got to pop the quarters in if you want to play life. And so I was like, man, that's cool. I'll go out to Detroit. And I had in my mind, I'll do 100 accounts. I had 100 working days. I should be able to do one a day. I'm fairly gregarious. I'm fairly confident. I got some self-esteem, I think, and I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do 100 accounts in the summer. And I get out to Detroit, and my first day, I'm knocking 12 hours. 12 hours of knocking doors. And I don't sell a damn thing. And you're only paid on commission. There's no salary. There's no hourly wage. You eat what you kill. And I was like, oh, that was a rough day. You know, there's like 20 of us guys out there in this office in Detroit. And I go out the second day and I'm like, okay, I'm going to keep trying and keep going. And I knock the second day and I don't sell anything. And I get through the third day. This is the hardest I've ever worked in my entire life. 3 days. And I have nothing to show for. I hadn't even been close. Like, not even anybody interested. It was just no, no, no. And I'm running door to door. No, 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 no. I'm just getting shut down. And at the time I was reading this book by Collins LaPierre. I can't remember what it's called. It's something about midnight. See? Old age, weed, whatever it is. This is what you guys have to look forward to. I'm a mirror, all right? You guys aren't going to remember shit when you're 44. I can't remember the book, but I can remember it was about Gandhi. And at the time, Gandhi had fasted something like 40 days to get the Hindus and the Muslims to stop killing each other. Because when the British pulled out, there was this huge civil war that took place. It was just brutal. And so Gandhi fasts for 40 days to get them to stop killing each other, and it works. And I'm like, well, if he can fast 40 days, me and God, I think, are tight. God, I'm going to fast until I make a sale. Like, I'm going to go without food or water. This will be my test. My time here. I'm going to do this. I've gone 3 days without making a sale. I'm going to fast until I make a sale. And I I went the whole 4th day without food or water. The van came around to pick guys up for lunch. I'm like, nope, I'm fasting. And I go another 12 hours and I don't make a cell. And the next day comes around and I wake up and I'd never been so hungry and I was shaky and I got out there, but I was going to fast. Gandhi could do it for 40 days. I mean, he was drinking water, but I'm going to fast until I make a cell. It's a much smaller ask. Yeah, that's a great question. So you get these moments, to me, you guys can probably all relate to this, but you get these moments of clarity or motivation or whatever you want, inspiration, right? To me, that's more and more how I recognize God is speaking to me. He'll show me this flash of what I could be, what I could get to. And that shouldn't change. Like when I see that, I've got to work towards that. If I'm going to be not like the children of Israel, if I'm going to pursue and trust in God, he's just shown me a promised land of some sort. I could get there. So that has to be undeviating. I don't know how long it's going to take. I don't know how much blood, sweat, and tears I'm going to have to go through to get there, but that can't change if I have faith in God, if I recognize that he's just spoken to me and shown me a better version of myself, a better way to be. Strategy changes all the time, right? Like how you interact with that and how you get there is going to be something that's constantly you have to be fluid in. And so it is a balancing act. I don't know if this is answering your question exactly, but I feel like when you see that vision, I call it vision, you know, the scriptures teach us that without vision, the people perish. When you see that vision, you have to go for it, in my opinion. And it doesn't matter if it takes 10 years or 6 months or whatever it takes. But how you do that is going to be something that constantly changes. And that's where you're going to learn a lot of the practical lessons of life, the skills and the techniques. And, you know, a lot of the leveling up that's going to happen in that process is going to come from your ability to adjust and maneuver and be flexible and stuff like that.
Little off topic, but I did resonate a lot with, it reminded me of a quote, for every level there's another devil. I truly believe that we always have bosses that we have to face in our life. So my question for you is, how's your philosophy, thought process, questions for hiring and delegating down, especially hiring leaders to manage the people under them?
Yeah, so that's a great question. How do you create leadership within your organization? Is that, can I rephrase that, or am I missing it?
Yes, along with how do you find them as well? Like, what's your philosophy for interviewing them? What kind of questions do you ask about them? Combination of all those.
I think for me, I don't know that I'm perfect at this, but I'll tell you what my experience has been so far that served me well. I'm far more concerned about somebody's character and energy than I am about their technical skills. I'm far more concerned about that than a resume. I don't care what degree they had. I feel like most of the time, at least in my business, I have to undo a degree. Like I'm like, dude, you guys have all these weird ideas about how this is working, and it's not how it plays out here. So I really try to pay attention to the type of character somebody is. Alex Hormozy, probably most of you guys listen or follow Alex Hormozy. He's a gangster, but he says the more you have to manage people, the more you realize you have the wrong people in place. So you search for those people that don't need to be managed. Now you're gonna have to teach them stuff. You're gonna have to teach them how the business works. Those types of things are just part of like the front load. But finding people that already get it and are already motivated, and you can't teach somebody that. I can tell you I've tried many years to headlock people into their own success, me wanting their success more than they wanted their success, and it just doesn't work. So you have to find somebody that's already hungry for it and already wants it more than you want it for them.
But there's something about like ADHD, and I've always been very ADHD, just like always throughout school. Never enjoyed reading, all that stuff. I've learned to enjoy reading now and more. But something I've noticed, obviously we've heard of the whole like dopamine detox trend and all that, and it's kind of just like, okay, cool, whatever, but like we have to be on tech. But something that I've noticed is like, and this isn't even necessarily. Basically, I've noticed there's times throughout the day where I'm like, okay, it's break time, you know, like I'm gonna go in the bathroom real quick and I'll just jump on my phone, and I'm not even necessarily doing any like pornography or necessarily anything like that, but just jumping on my phone. We all have that feeling of like surge of dopamine, you know, where we're just sitting there and we're like on social media, and I've noticed it actually can hurt us a lot. I think over consuming, because there is an aspect of I want to learn about this subject, you know, and I want to improve this subject. I definitely think there's time in our life where we're like being present as much as possible can be the big change that we need a lot of the time. And this sounds dumb, but I downloaded the app screen time. You can kind of set limits so that you hit snooze, it'll give you 10 minutes to do whatever you need to on Instagram. But I've noticed being able to be more present actually helps me feel significantly less, I guess, I don't know, like a drug addict almost, to dopamine. So, yeah.
That is a good point. There's a lot of techniques you can use to deal with various things in your life. But I think one thing that we do really bad is we identify things about us that are bad and then they become our identity. Like, I don't think ADHD is bad. I think it's a different set of cards you play. And there's different strategies on how to manage. I think ADHD is actually a phenomenal strength.
What strength would you say there is?
Well, for me, because I have ADHD, and it's probably something I even need to become more self-aware of, but I have business partners that don't have it at all, and they can just stay focused on their spreadsheets. I was talking earlier about how I hate spreadsheets. I have no interest in it, right? But because of my ADHD and the cards that I have, and everybody has a different set of cards, you just learn how to play your cards, right? I'm thinking about a million things all at once. I'm all over the place, and I get like really good ideas about a lot of different things, and I've learned how to kind of funnel that, especially with finding the right business partners to work with, but they rely on that from me. That's a strength for them, that I have a lot of ideas and I have a lot of interests, and my mind is going around a lot of different things, and it's helped me also to connect with a lot of people. Like, I'm really interested in different people's experiences, bouncing around and moving around them. So it just gives me a different set of cards to play. And I just think the biggest point is whatever it is that you identify yourself with, don't make it a shameful thing, right? It's just...
It makes me think basically what you're saying is that, sorry to cut you off, but like basically what you're saying is obviously we know a lot of aspects of school are, negative, but I guess my thought would be connecting to that the concept of kids needing to take medication for their ADHD is actually just them hindering technically like a gift they might have. Is kind of what you're saying?
I absolutely think that. I think evolutionarily, if that's a word, I'm an English major, I should know, but I went to Weber State, so, whatever, whatever that means. I think boys are supposed to have ADHD. Kids are supposed to be outside running, or boys especially, like finding grasshoppers and throwing a ball at each other and doing all this stuff that's all over the place. That, the thing about ADHD is the reality is you focus on what you're interested in. If you're actually really interested in something, you're going to focus on it even if you have ADHD. Your problem is focusing on things you're not interested in. And I think with boys, they come out of the womb just ready to be like rough and tumble and all over the place and exploring, right? And like looking and learning the world around them by observation and interaction with it. And so they got this brain wired to do that. Women are different. Women are much more comfortable sitting down at a desk and like learning, and like that framework works better generally speaking. Of course, I'm speaking in generality, but it generally works better for women, where most boys it doesn't. I hated school. And what do? Like, we take these boys and we put them at a desk and we tell them to shut up and listen to something they're not interested in. And then when they're not interested in it, we tell them they have ADHD, and then we dope them up on drugs. Again, it goes back to this whole idea that masculinity is under attack, and it starts at that age. And it starts for a lot of different reasons. There's a lot of corruption and a lot of money being made off of it that's like infuriating. But more than that, it's just
soft hands.
it's just like boys should be boys. You need to let them out there and explore the world. And I just think we try to force a square into a round hole, a square peg into a round hole with a lot of boys. Some boys are good at sitting down. I never was. Never had interest in formal education. This never served me. Like, memorizing a bunch of shit to put on a test that I'm not going to care about like 5 minutes after the test is done just seems asinine to me. But going out and learn how to knock doors and fast until you make a sale, that's pretty important. That was interesting. My ADHD probably served me pretty well in that space, But so the problem with ADHD, people call it a problem. I think you just have to learn how to navigate it better. Is, again, you're having a problem focusing on something you're not interested in. If you're interested in it, you're going to pay attention to it.
Something that crucial for what we do is like setting up a pre-call sequence automation thing. Doesn't interest me, but it's going to be highly valuable for my business. Are you just aligning with like people?
I hire people.
You hire to
Oh
do
yeah,
that part?
I've just learned to hire people to do stuff I don't want to do. You want to make your life awesome, hire people to do shit you don't want to do, and just play your strengths. Play the cards that you have. Instead of trying to white knuckle your way into doing something that you don't want to do. To me, I found business partners I'm not a business guy, honestly. I've done business my whole life, but I'm not a business guy. I'm a marketing guy. I connect with people on a personal, I make connections. I bring people together. That's what I do. That's what I like to do. It's what I'm interested in doing. And I found out how to make that work and make a lot of money at it. And I found business partners and employees that fill in the gaps on the stuff that I want to do. My life is way happier than trying to, like, again, a lot of the times the reason why we feel like we have to be good at it is because somebody's told us we have to be good at it. Somebody's programming you, telling that's the coffee table. You know, you need to do this and do that. And I think you find you get whatever cards, try to be self-aware of it. What is it that you really want? What is it that you really like and you're interested, and play those cards. And you can fill in the gaps.
I think Aiden earlier was mentioning the book Buy Back Your Time, and he's like screaming like a little girl about it. But it's a really good book. I was reading it recently. But I agree, and it relates to what you're saying. In that book, Dan Martell says specifically that like if you do what you love, and then have other people do the things that you don't love, you'll be able to hire people that are doing things that they love, and you'll be doing them a service and doing yourself a service.
Usually when you do what you love long enough, you end up making a lot of money too. And by the way,
How long have you been doing the pest control business?
20 years almost.
20 years.
Well, I started the business actually. No, I shouldn't say that. The business started, it's kind of convoluted, but we started with the garbage company. Then that rolled into our pest control, and it's all kind of connected. But that's been about 14 years.
14 years? So
Mhm.
you roughly had a 40% compounded annual growth rate if you, in 5 years, exit for about $1 billion.
I don't even know what you just said, bro.
English. He's not the businessman.
I'm not, that's, you see, I got people that know that shit, dude. I mean, I know what you're saying. I'm kind of joking, but like,
Partners here, he's going to be like, oh, yeah.
I'm not a numbers guy. I hated math, wasn't interesting to me at all, you know, and spreadsheets aren't interesting to me at all. But I got business partners that's like I was saying earlier, it's like pornography for them. They just stare at that shit. And I'm like, how do you stare at, like I might joke, my business partner, we just have him chained to the radiator and he just goes through spreadsheets and he loves it.
But I noticed that this very similar things, and it's at some point you're like metaphorically beating a dead horse. You talked about software, and success leaves clues. I've talked to many, nine-figure business companies, very multi-nine-figure company owners, billionaires even, and they've said the exact same thing. And so it's really interesting that if you just surround yourself with it enough, it's not anything new or crazy. It's like, yep, you're right. Just like you said, it's pest control. It's not very exciting, but it's going to make us, $1 billion. And so I think the same thing with like it's just business, or it's whatever your strengths are. It's just boring, but it's what all the successful people know.
Yeah, good. And like you said, like it's just, you start discovering these truths and then you try to share them with other people. I think at least you have an obligation to try and share what you learned because somebody shared it with you along the way, But these truths are self-evident. So you sit around and you have these conversations. This is what we do around fires every single week. We have a whole variety of conversations, but essentially we're just sharing our journey and our truths that we've learned, and we're all better for it, One of the things I'd encourage you guys all to do is start your own proverbial fires at home, whatever that looks like. I encourage literally sitting around a fire because there's something about a man staring into the fire that's so primal. You're just like, yeah, there's something that stirs the soul, something like that. But sit around and have your group of friends that you can have regular conversations with about this, because we do this every single week and it never gets old. Now we just film it. What's that?